Soji. I am an entrepreneur and a chemical engineer by profession. My aspiration and later my candidature to run for the 2019 governorship election in Taraba State started with a vision. I have this vision that we the youths have what it takes to take over the leadership of the state and make a reasonable impact. The leadership of the state and make a reasonable impact better than those who are in power and those who have come before them. For they have failed their own generation and they have failed us. For over 18 years since the return of democracy, we have nothing to write home about other than stagnation, other than backwardness in motion, because even what we have, we are losing the grip of them. When I declared my intention, I had people saying, oh, he doesn't have what it takes to be in the contest, and sort of things like that. But, you know, the moment you bring something new to the society like this, you will always have the naysayers, and you will always have the dream killers. But with persistence and resilience, now we have reasonable people, a number of people who are behind us. They are now with us. They are angered by what is happening, and they are also annoyed with the system. So what are we doing now? We are going to change the system. We are going to change the status quo. It is widely known that Taraba State have suffered most in the hands of the gatekeepers and our political leaders. They anoint and coronet people at will, people with questionable characters, people with questionable integrity, to be at the helms of our own affairs. Regime after regime, we are left with nothing other than bad governance, underdevelopment, hatred and divisiveness among our people, and the worst of all, we are left with abject poverty. My government, if elected into power, we are focusing on 4 key development agendas. We have the education, we have the health, we have the economy, and we have the security. Now let's talk about education. Education shall be a cardinal program in my government. We will consider education as crucial, as capable of developing individuals for self-reliance. It is also believed that education is essential to the position of an individual in life. Hence, the provision for education is a social objective which must be pursued in such a way that every Taraban is literate. Therefore, I am committed to the provision of minimum education to every Taraban child, thereby providing opportunity and creating the conditions for every Taraban to achieve his or her educational attainment, and to promote education alongside our moral disciplines in accordance with our core values in all levels of our education and in public office. Now, how do I do that? This is the strategy. We are going to promote pre-primary education by encouraging the establishment of primary and nursery schools in such a way that every Taraban child shall have the opportunity to start education at the nursery level. We are going to provide free and compulsory education, primary education, free and compulsory junior secondary education, and tuition-free qualitative senior secondary education. Thirdly, we will raise the social and economic status of educational personnel through improved condition of service, and we will embark on training and retraining of teaching personnel and enforcement of the requirement that the National Certificate in Education, NCE, shall be the minimum qualification for primary school teachers. Now, with regards to health, I consider health as a social service necessary for the physical and mental well-being of Tarabans, and consequently the capacity for the greater productivity. The health objectives of my government shall therefore be centered in the provision of a comprehensive and qualitative health care delivery system for all, through a combination of the orthodox medicine, the traditional, and as well as the alternative medicine. On the house, the strategy goes as follows. My government shall ensure that Tarabans, young and old alike, shall have access to free medical care. Secondly, we shall progressively provide general hospitals in all 16 local governments in the state. Thirdly, we are going to embark on a mass training of paramedical doctors and medical workers. We are going to encourage more students to train as medical doctors and medical workers. Then we are going to provide special incentives for medical personnel and medical practitioners and other medical practitioners, with particular emphasis on those located at the rural areas. We are going to progressively work towards the eradication of HIV and AIDS in the state. Now let's talk about the economy. The economy of the state has been in the doldrums. Successive regimes have attempted to put it in a sound footing, but they have failed. They have failed to even create a pathway for it, thereby causing untold hardship to the people. The economic objectives of my government will seek to improve the state's overall monetary policy and fiscal policies in such a way as to achieve the following: alleviation, sanity in the financial sector, increase in employment. Taraba State, as we are being called the nature's gift to the nation, we are blessed with human resources, natural resources, and mineral resources. From Kurmi local government down south to Karimlami local government up north, we are blessed with all these resources. They are laying fallow and untapped. We are strategically focusing on an agri-based economy, and this is how we are going to do it. Firstly, we are going to prioritize and modernize the farm settlement schemes to increase agricultural productivity, check rural to urban migration, and make farming attractive, profitable, and a respectable occupation to the young. We are going to facilitate access to cheaper and better agricultural inputs, including farm tools, chemicals, fertilizers, improved seedlings, and livestock breeds. We are going to encourage investment in agricultural processing and packaging and export equipment, because at a point, if you directly export what you produce without adding value to it, automatically you are exporting jobs outside. You are exporting our jobs to the neighboring states, you are exporting our jobs to neighboring countries, as the case may be. And lastly, if we want to build our dear state, we must avoid the gatekeepers. We must avoid the ethno-religious divide and conquer politics we always fall into, and elect visionary leaders with competence and proven track records, not those whom we have given the opportunity before and ended up looting our collective treasure. Taraba State has had enough of bad governance, looting, corruption comparisons, and the mini-gods. We want a lease of life. I maintain my stance that posterity will judge eyes and collectively fight for the Taraba of our dreams. What Taraba do you want your kids to have? I alone cannot do this. I need you, and you. My resources alone as a youth and someone who have not been on the looting arena before, for us to achieve what we want to achieve. But with your collective support, we will have an inclusive and accountable government. But when we allow the mini-gods, the gatekeepers, to hijack the situation already on track, we will fall back to the old ditch, to the dark ages. It is an